The broken ship drifted through the cold darkness of space, its engines sputtering weakly against the vast emptiness. Inside the damaged vessel, Captain Trell slumped in the command chair, one hand pressed against the wound in his side. Blood seeped between his three-fingered hand. The ship's lights flickered as power systems failed one by one. "Status report?" Trell wheezed, his large eyes blinking rapidly against the pain. "Critical systems failing, Captain," replied the ship's computer. "Hull integrity at 42%. Life support stable but declining. Estimated time before total system failure, 6 hours." Trell looked around the bridge. 3 of his crew lay dead at their stations. The rest were in stasis pods, their lives hanging by a thread. They were the last of the survey team, perhaps the last of their kind. "Computer, where are we?" Trell asked, forcing himself to stay conscious. "Unknown system. 9 planets orbiting a yellow star. 3rd planet shows signs of advanced civilization and technology." Trell's eyes widened. This wasn't on any of their star charts. Had they really traveled so far in their blind jump to escape the Dominion warships? He pulled himself upright and examined the readings. "That's impossible," he muttered, checking the data again. The 3rd planet matches all criteria for a Class 12 death world. Death worlds were planets considered too dangerous for spacefaring civilizations. Extreme gravity, toxic atmospheres, dangerous wildlife, or unpredictable weather patterns. Yet, this one showed clear signs of a thriving technological civilization. "Computer, prepare a distress call on all frequencies. Use universal translation protocols." "Warning," the computer responded. "Broadcasting our position may alert Dominion forces to our location." Trell coughed, more blue blood spilling onto his uniform. "We have no choice. We'll be dead before the Dominion arrives. Maybe these Deathworlders can help us." The computer hummed as it prepared the message. Trell dictated a simple plea. "This is Captain Trell of the Arcani scout ship Lumina. We are refugees fleeing genocide. Our ship is critically damaged. We seek asylum and assistance. Please respond." The message shot out into space, traveling across the void toward the blue-green planet ahead. Deep within a mountain complex in what humans called Colorado, a technician named Mark Reed stared at his monitor with growing confusion. "Director Patel, you might want to see this," he called out, not taking his eyes off the screen. Linda Patel, director of the Deep Space Monitoring Initiative, walked over and leaned down to look at the readings. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the unusual signal pattern. "Is that—" she began. "Yes, ma'am. It's definitely not one of ours. The signal's coming from just past Mars's orbit, and it's using frequencies we've never seen before. But the message itself, it's in English." Patel straightened up. "Get Commander Ellis on the line now." Within 30 minutes, Commander James Ellis arrived at the facility, his uniform slightly rumpled as if he'd dressed in a hurry. His weathered face remained calm, but his eyes betrayed his excitement. "Play it again," he ordered. The technician hit a button, and the strange, slightly mechanical voice filled the room once more. "This is Captain Trell of the Arcani scout ship Lumina. We are refugees fleeing genocide. Our ship is critically damaged. We seek asylum and assistance. Please respond." "How is it speaking English?" Ellis asked. "It's not," replied Dr. Wilson, the linguistics expert who had been called in. "The signal contains embedded translation protocols that interface with receiving technologies. Quite brilliant, actually. It's speaking every human language simultaneously, depending on the listener's systems." Ellis rubbed his jaw, thinking fast. "Can we respond?" "Yes, sir. We can use the same frequency." "Do it." Ellis leaned toward the microphone. "This is Commander James Ellis of the United Earth Defense Force. We've received your distress call and are prepared to offer assistance. Please provide your location and the nature of your emergency." The response came almost immediately. "Commander Ellis, thank you. Our navigation systems are damaged. We are transmitting our coordinates now. We have wounded crew and critical system failures. Our ship cannot land safely on your planet." Ellis turned to Patel. "Contact Space Force. We need to launch a rescue mission immediately." Sir? Reed interrupted. Are you sure that's wise? We don't know anything about these Arcani. Ellis fixed the young technician with a steady gaze. They're asking for help, son. That's all I need to know right now. 6 hours later, the Earth rescue ship Unity approached the damaged alien vessel. Through the viewports, Ellis could see the strange design of the ship, smooth and curved like a giant teardrop with what appeared to be crystal formations along its hull. Many were shattered, and a large gash ran along one side of the vessel. This is Commander Ellis aboard the Unity. We're preparing to dock with your ship, Captain Trell. Understood, Commander. Our docking systems are offline. You will need to use magnetic couplers. The rescue team, consisting of engineers, medical personnel, and security officers, prepared at the airlock. No one knew what to expect. This was humanity's first contact with an alien species. Dr. Ava Lopez, the chief medical officer, checked her specialized kit one last time. Remember, she said to her team, we have no idea what their biology is. Like, observe first, act second. The ships connected with a dull thud, and the airlock cycled open. The team moved cautiously into the alien vessel. The interior was dimly lit by pulsing blue lights. The air smelled strange, like ozone and something sweet. They found Captain Trell on the bridge. He was taller than a human with smooth gray-blue skin and large expressive eyes that took up much of his face. He had 4 arms, the lower pair shorter than the upper. Blue blood stained his silver uniform. Commander Ellis, Trell said weakly, recognizing the insignia on Ellis's uniform. Thank you for coming. Dr. Lopez moved forward, scanning Trell with her equipment. He's in bad shape, she reported. Significant blood loss and internal injuries. There are 12 more crew members in stasis pods, Trell explained, gesturing weakly down a corridor. They are stable but will not survive if the pods lose power. Ellis nodded to his team. Dr. Lopez, do what you can for the captain. Engineering team, assess the stasis systems and prepare for possible transport. Security, sweep the ship for any threats. As the teams dispersed, Ellis helped Trell to a more comfortable position. Captain, while my people work to save your crew, I need to understand what happened to you. You mentioned genocide in your message. Trell's large eyes blinked slowly. The Dominion, he whispered. They came to our homeworld without warning. Destroyed our cities, hunted our people. We are scientists, Commander, explorers. We had no weapons to fight back. Why would they do this? Resources, power. The same reasons empires always destroy those weaker than themselves. Trell coughed, blue droplets spattering on the floor. But they will not stop with us. They follow a pattern. Find, destroy, consume, move on. And now? Now. What, Captain? Trell's eyes locked onto Ellis's. Now they will come here. Our distress call will lead them to you. I am sorry to bring this danger to your world. A cold feeling settled in Ellis's stomach. How much time do we have? Days. Perhaps weeks. Their fleets are vast and spread throughout our sector, but they will come. Trell gripped Ellis's arm with surprising strength. Your world is classified as a death world in our databases, too dangerous to explore. But you have built civilization here despite the challenges. Perhaps that makes you strong enough to stand against them. Before Ellis could respond, Dr. Lopez returned. Commander, we need to move the captain to our medical bay immediately, and the stasis pods can be transferred to our ship. Ellis nodded. Do it. As they prepared to evacuate the aliens to the Unity, Ellis stared out a viewport at the distant blue dot of Earth. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries. They had imagined peaceful exchanges of knowledge, grand diplomatic missions, or even invasions. No one had expected that Earth's introduction to the galaxy would begin with a desperate plea for help, or that humanity's response would soon bring the wrath of an interstellar empire down upon them. The rescue operation continued through the night. By dawn, 13 Arcani survivors were aboard the Unity, heading back to Earth, the first aliens to visit the planet that the galaxy had labeled a death world. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Dominion sensors detected the faint echo of Trell's distress call and began to calculate a course to a previously ignored yellow star. The world leaders gathered in the emergency United Nations session stared at the large screen showing the wounded alien. Captain Trell's blue-gray skin looked even paler under the harsh lights of the medical bay. Despite his alien features, the exhaustion and worry on his face was unmistakable. "The Dominion will not negotiate," Trell explained, his voice translated through speakers around the room. "They have destroyed 12 civilizations in the past century. My people were the 13th. The Secretary General leaned forward. "Captain Trell, while we sympathize with your situation, you must understand our concern. By helping you, we may be bringing this Dominion to our doorstep." Commander Ellis stood beside the alien captain. In the week since the rescue, he had become Earth's unofficial ambassador to the Arcani survivors. "Madame Secretary, the Dominion is already coming. The question is whether we prepare or pretend this isn't happening." The Russian president spoke up. "What exactly can we prepare for? Captain Trell says these aliens have destroyed advanced civilizations. We have never even left our own solar system." "That may be our advantage," Ellis responded. "The Dominion expects certain responses based on their previous conquests. Earth is different. We evolved on a high-gravity planet with extreme weather patterns and predators. The Arcani call Earth a death world for a reason." Trell nodded weakly. "Your people are remarkably adaptable. You survived conditions that would kill most spacefaring species, and you think differently." The Chinese premier studied the alien carefully. "Different how?" "The Dominion relies on mathematical precision. Their tactics never change because their calculations tell them they are optimal. But they have never encountered humans before. You are unpredictable. You sometimes choose suboptimal approaches that surprise your opponents." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, the American president stood. "We need to vote. Do we stand with the Arcani and prepare for this threat, or do we try to negotiate our own peace with the Dominion?" The debate lasted hours, but in the end, the vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would fight. At a newly established joint base in Nevada, Trell watched with interest as human engineers worked alongside the healthier Arcani survivors. The large warehouse buzzed with activity as they dismantled parts from the Lumina to understand the alien technology. Dr. Lisa Wong, Earth's leading quantum physicist, held up a crystal component. "This is amazing. Their ships don't use conventional engines. They manipulate gravity fields to create movement." Beside her, an Arcani scientist named Mota nodded. "Yes, but your nuclear propulsion systems could be adapted to create weapons more powerful than anything the Dominion uses." Commander Ellis walked through the facility, noting the progress. In just 2 weeks, the collaboration had yielded remarkable results. Earth's satellite network had been upgraded with Arcani detection technology. The first prototype gravity shields were being tested on fighter jets. And most importantly, the planetary defense system was nearly operational. Ellis found Trell in the medical wing reviewing data on a tablet. The alien captain looked healthier now, his wounds healing slowly. "How are you feeling?" Ellis asked. "Better. Your doctor says I can return to full duties tomorrow." Trell set down the tablet. "Your people work quickly, Commander. We don't have much choice." Ellis sat down across from him. "The deep space monitors detected something entering the outer solar system this morning. A scout ship, we think." Trell's large eyes widened. "They're here sooner than I expected. The main fleet will follow soon." "How many ships?" "Based on what happened to my world, at least 50 large warships and hundreds of smaller vessels." Ellis nodded grimly. "We've mobilized every military force on Earth. Civilians are being moved to underground shelters. The lunar colony has been evacuated back to Earth." "It may not be enough," Trell said softly. "Maybe not. But we're not going down without a fight." Ellis pulled out his own tablet and showed Trell a video of a test firing in the desert. A modified missile shot into the air, then split into dozens of smaller projectiles that created a massive EMP wave. We're adapting our weapons with your technology. Clever, Trell admitted. The Dominion relies heavily on electronic systems. Young officer rushed into the room. Commander, we've received a transmission. It's addressing all of Earth's governments. Ellis and Trell hurried to the command center. On the main screen, a stern alien face appeared. Unlike the Arcani, this species had rough, ridged skin and deep purple tones. Its eyes were small and dark, set deep in a heavy brow. People of Earth, the alien said, its voice deep and mechanical through the translation system. I am General Fex of the Dominion Fleet. We have detected Arcani survivors on your world. Surrender them immediately or face the consequences. The transmission cut off, leaving the room in silence. That's their standard opening, Trell explained. They always offer one chance to surrender before attacking. Ellis turned to his communications officer. Send our response. The young woman looked nervous. What should I say, sir? Ellis thought for a moment, then smiled grimly. Keep it simple. Tell them. Come and get them. 3 days later, the first attack came. A Dominion destroyer entered orbit and launched a missile toward the Mars research outpost. The small colony of 60 scientists had been evacuated, but the destruction of humanity's first off-world settlement was meant as a clear message. What the Dominion didn't expect was Earth's response. As the destroyer repositioned for an approach, to Earth 6 modified nuclear missiles launched from hidden silos in the Gobi Desert. The Dominion ship easily destroyed 4 of them with energy weapons, but 2 got through, their warheads enhanced with Arcani gravity technology. Instead of exploding, the missiles created a localized gravity well that crushed one section of the destroyer, sending it spinning out of control. In the Nevada Command Center, the human and Arcani personnel watched the satellite feed with amazement. It worked, Dr. Wong exclaimed. The gravity weapons actually worked. Trell stared at the screen in disbelief. No one has ever damaged a Dominion destroyer so easily. Ellis remained focused. They'll adapt quickly, this was just one ship. We need to be ready for the main fleet. He turned to his officers. Begin Phase 2 immediately. Throughout the next week, Earth transformed. Massive defense platforms rose from hidden underwater bases. Civilian aircraft were retrofit with weapon systems. And in orbit, a hastily assembled fleet of Earth's space vessels enhanced with Arcani technology, prepared for battle. The Arcani survivors worked tirelessly alongside their human allies. For the first time since the destruction of their homeworld, they felt hope. In a private moment, Trell found Ellis on the roof of the command center staring at the night sky. Your people continue to surprise me, Trell said. Most civilizations collapse at the first Dominion attack. Ellis shook his head. Humans are stubborn. We've spent our entire history fighting each other, now we finally have a common enemy. There's something I haven't told you, Trell admitted after a moment of silence. Something important. Ellis turned to face him. I'm listening. My people weren't just fleeing. We were protecting something. Trell pulled a small device from his pocket. It glowed with an inner light. This is why the Dominion destroyed our world. It's an ancient technology, older than any known civilization. We discovered it in ruins on our moon. What does it do? We don't fully understand it yet, but it can create or destroy energy in ways that defy our physics. The Dominion believes it can be weaponized. Ellis took a deep breath. And you brought it here. I had no choice. It cannot fall into the Dominion's hands. Trell looked at Ellis, with his large, expressive eyes. I'm sorry for putting your world at risk. Before Ellis could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. They rushed back to the command center where the main screen showed dozens of large ships appearing at the edge of the solar system. The main fleet, Trell whispered. Ellis straightened his uniform and addressed the room full of anxious faces. This is what we've prepared for. Activate all defense systems, launch our fleet, and send word to every military base on Earth. The real battle begins now. As orders were relayed and systems activated, Ellis and Trell shared a look of determination. The Dominion thought they were attacking a helpless planet. Instead, they were about to face the combined might of humanity and the Arcani, a force united by desperation, courage, and the fierce desire to survive. Earth, the planet classified as a death world, was about to show the galaxy exactly how it had earned that name. The sky above Earth turned bright as day when the Dominion launched their warning strike. 5 massive warships positioned themselves in low orbit and fired energy beams at carefully selected targets, military bases in unpopulated areas. They expected to demonstrate their power without resistance. They were wrong. The moment the Dominion ships fired, Earth's newly installed gravity shield system activated. Massive domes of distorted space appeared over each target, absorbing or deflecting the energy blasts. In the Nevada Command Center, technicians cheered as the shields held. "Impossible," muttered one of the Arcani engineers. The Dominion's weapons should have penetrated those shields easily. Trell watched the displays with growing hope. The humans modified the designs. They added layers we never considered. On the main screen, General Vex's face appeared again, his expression a mixture of surprise and anger. "Your primitive defenses cannot last. Surrender the Arcani and the artifact they stole, and we may spare your major population centers." Commander Ellis stepped forward. "This is our only response." He nodded to a communications officer. Immediately, 20 small spacecraft launched from hidden bases around Earth. These were the prototype fighters, human spaceplanes retrofitted with Arcani gravity drives and makeshift energy weapons. They moved with incredible speed, their trajectories erratic and unpredictable. "What are they doing?" Vex demanded. "Those vessels have no chance against our warships." Ellis didn't respond. On the tactical display, the human fighters split into 5 groups and approached the Dominion ships from multiple angles. The Dominion responded with automated defense systems, filling space with energy bursts. But the human pilots flew in patterns that made no sense to the Dominion's targeting computers, diving toward the massive ships, then pulling away at the last second, or spinning in tight spirals that no sensible pilot would attempt. "They're flying like maniacs," one of the Arcani observers whispered. "No," Trell replied. "They're flying like death worlders, like creatures evolved to hunt and evade predators." 3 fighters were hit and destroyed, but the rest closed in on the lead Dominion warship. Instead of firing at obvious weapon emplacements, they targeted a section that appeared to be reinforced. "Why there?" Trell asked, puzzled. Ellis smiled, grimly. "Our analysts studied the damage we did to their scout ship. We identified a weak point in their design, where their energy distribution systems connect to their main engines. It doesn't look like a vulnerability, which is why no one has exploited it before." On screen, the fighters fired their weapons simultaneously at the same spot. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, secondary explosions rippled across the Dominion warship. Its lights flickered and died, and it began to drift. The command center erupted in cheers, the first major Dominion warship disabled by any civilization in decades. "Order the fighters to withdraw," Ellis commanded. "The Dominion will regroup now." He was right. The remaining Dominion ships pulled back to higher orbit, out of range of the Earth fighters. For the moment, the immediate threat had passed. Trell approached Ellis. "You've bought us time, but the Dominion will adapt. They'll analyze what happened and change their tactics." "So will we," Ellis replied. "But we need to take advantage of this pause." He turned to his officers. "Implement Phase 3 immediately." 12 hours later, as Earth prepared for the next wave of attacks, another kind of invasion began. In major cities around the world, people began acting strangely. Security guards abandoned their posts, power plant technicians shut down critical systems, and government officials started making odd decisions. In London, a police officer noticed his partner's eyes glowing faintly purple in the darkness. When confronted, the partner attacked with inhuman strength. In Tokyo, subway security cameras captured images of humans shedding their skin to reveal Dominion infiltrators beneath. And in Washington, D.C., an aide to the defense secretary was caught, trying to upload a virus into military systems. Ellis received the reports with growing concern. They're trying to sabotage us from within, using disguised infiltrators. It's a standard Dominion tactic, Trell explained. But they usually rely on confusion and fear to hide their agents. Then we'll use something they don't expect. Our social networks. Ellis initiated a global broadcast explaining the infiltration threat and asking civilians to report unusual behavior. The Dominion thinks humans are just soldiers and leaders. They don't understand that our strength is in our communities. Within hours, ordinary people around the world began identifying and reporting infiltrators. Neighbors watched out for neighbors. Workers monitored colleagues. Families stayed together for safety. The Dominion hadn't counted on 7 billion pairs of eyes watching for them. By evening, over 200 infiltrators had been captured. Earth's scientists began studying their biology and technology, looking for weaknesses. In the command center, Ellis studied the latest intelligence reports. They're regrouping for a major assault. At least 30 warships are moving into attack position. Trell nodded grimly. The real battle is about to begin. An Arcani scientist rushed into the room, holding a data tablet. Captain Trell, we've decoded more of the artifact's functions. It's not just a power source, it's a key to something much bigger. Trell took the tablet and studied it, his expression growing more serious with each moment. Get Commander Ellis, he said quietly. He needs to see this immediately. When Ellis arrived, Trell led him to a private room. I haven't been entirely truthful, the alien captain admitted, about why the Dominion is so determined to find us. Explain, Ellis said, his voice hardening. My people discovered the artifact in ancient ruins, yes, but we learned it's part of a network, a system, built by a civilization that vanished millions of years ago. The artifacts can link together to create a shield around an entire planet. A shield? That's what they're after? Trell shook his head. Not just a shield. The system can also be weaponized, turned into something that could destroy worlds. The Dominion doesn't want to protect themselves. They want to become unstoppable. Ellis processed this information. And you have one piece of this weapon. Yes, we fled with it rather than let it fall into their hands. Trell looked at Ellis with his large eyes. Now you understand why they won't stop coming. Before Ellis could respond, alarms blared. On the monitors, the Dominion fleet was moving, but not toward Earth. They were positioning themselves around the moon. What are they doing? Ellis demanded. The tactical officer's voice shook. Sir, they're destroying the moon. Their weapons are breaking it apart. Everyone watched in horror as energy beams lanced into the lunar surface, causing massive explosions. Chunks of the moon began to break away. This is a demonstration, Trell said quietly. And a tactical move. The debris will eventually rain down on Earth, causing massive destruction. Ellis's face hardened. Then we don't wait for them to finish. We take the fight to them. He turned to his officers. Prepare all our forces, we're launching a full counterattack. He looked at Trell. And I need you to tell me everything about this artifact. If it's the key to beating the Dominion, we need to understand exactly how it works. As the command center burst into activity, Ellis and Trell moved to the planning room. On the screens above them, pieces of the moon drifted apart, a visible reminder of what was at stake. You realize, Trell said softly, that the Dominion has never faced a defeat. Their tactics have worked on a dozen worlds. Ellis nodded grimly. Then it's time they learned what happens when they attack a planet full of creatures evolved to survive against all odds. He pointed to Earth's assembled fleet on the tactical display. Let's show them why they should fear Deathworlders. Outside, the night sky glowed with the unnatural light of a moon being torn apart, while below, humanity prepared to fight for its very existence. Earth's first true interstellar fleet rose from launching sites around the globe, 100 vessels of various sizes, hastily modified with Arcani technology. Fighter jets now equipped with gravity drives flew alongside converted cargo ships, carrying makeshift weapons. At their center was the flagship, a massive nuclear submarine that had been transformed into a space cruiser, its hull reinforced with Arcani metals. Commander Ellis stood on the bridge of this flagship, named Defiance, watching as Earth grew smaller behind them. Beside him, Captain Trell monitored the tactical displays. "The Dominion expects us to defend, not attack," Ellis said. "That's our advantage." Trell nodded. "They rely on predictive algorithms based on previous conquests. No species has ever launched a counteroffensive this quickly. The plan was daring, perhaps foolish. While the Dominion continued their assault on the Moon, Earth's fleet would attack from multiple vectors, targeting the weak points they had identified in the enemy ships. "All vessels report ready, Commander," announced the communications officer. Ellis took a deep breath. "Begin Operation Slingshot." The Earth fleet split into 5 battle groups. Instead of heading directly toward the Dominion forces, they used Earth's gravity to accelerate around the planet, building up tremendous speed before shooting outward on different trajectories. On the Dominion command ship, General Vex received the alert with disbelief. "They're attacking us? With those primitive vessels?" He laughed coldly. "Position our defensive screen. This will be over quickly." The Dominion warships arranged themselves in a perfect geometric formation, their weapons targeting systems calculating optimal firing, solutions based on the approaching Earth vessels. But something was wrong. The human ships weren't flying in any recognizable pattern. Each moved independently, changing speed and direction randomly. The Dominion computers struggled to predict their movements. "What is this chaos?" Vex demanded. "No military fleet operates this way." His tactical officer looked confused. "They appear to be using individual initiative, General. Each ship captain is making their own decisions rather than following a central battle plan." This was incomprehensible to the Dominion, whose rigid hierarchy and mathematical precision had conquered a dozen worlds. They had never encountered a species that entrusted critical decisions to lower-ranking individuals. The Earth vessels closed in, and the space around. The Moon lit up with energy weapons. Several human ships were destroyed immediately, but others slipped through the Dominion's firing patterns, approaching much closer than should have been possible. On the Defiance, Ellis watched the battle unfold. "Group 3 has broken through their line," he announced. "Begin Phase 2. The Earth ships that had penetrated the Dominion formation suddenly released thousands of small objects, space mines constructed from Arcani technology and Earth explosives. The mines drifted toward the Dominion ships nearly invisible to their sensors. When they detonated, they didn't explode in the traditional sense. Instead, they created miniature gravity wells that tore at the Dominion vessels' hulls, creating stress fractures that ran deep into their structures. 3 enemy ships have sustained critical damage, reported the Defiance's tactical officer. They're withdrawing from formation. For the first time in the conflict, the Dominion forces appeared, disorganized. Their perfect formation broke apart as ships tried to avoid the spreading field of gravity mines. General Vex slammed his fist on his command console. "Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Their tactics make no sense." "Sir," his science officer interrupted. "We're detecting unusual energy readings from their lead vessel. It matches the artifact signature." Vex's eyes narrowed. "So they've learned to use it. Focus all fire on their flagship." Multiple Dominion warships turned their weapons toward the Defiance. Energy beams lanced across space, most missing as the Earth vessel performed evasive maneuvers that the Dominion computers classified as suicidal. On the Defiance's bridge, systems sparked and crew members were thrown from their stations as one beam grazed their hull. "Damage report," Ellis called out. "Hull breach on Deck 3. Automatic seals engaged. Weapons still operational," came the response. Trell worked frantically at his console. "The artifact is ready, Commander." Ellis nodded. "All ships, execute Maneuver Omega. I repeat, Maneuver Omega." The Earth fleet suddenly broke off their attack and retreated to a position near Jupiter. The massive planet's gravity would provide them some protection while they prepared for the next phase. The Dominion ships pursued exactly as Ellis had hoped. Their algorithms identified the retreat as weakness, something to be exploited. "They run like all the others," Vex said dismissively. "Finish them, and then we'll return to destroying their planet." As the Dominion fleet approached Jupiter, Ellis gave the signal. Activate the artifact. Trell connected the ancient device to the ship's power systems. The small object began to glow with increasing intensity, its energy readings climbing rapidly. What is happening? Vex demanded as his sensors detected the power surge. Before his officers could respond, space itself seemed to bend around the Earth fleet. The artifact was creating a gravity lens, a distortion in space-time that redirected the Dominion's energy weapons back upon their own ships. 3 Dominion warships were destroyed instantly by their own fire. Others suffered severe damage as their beams reflected in unpredictable patterns. Impossible, Vex roared. No civilization has ever weaponized gravity fields this way. In the confusion, Earth fighters darted forward, targeting the damaged Dominion, vessels with conventional missiles enhanced by Arcani technology. More enemy ships fell, creating a field of debris around Jupiter. For the first time in the battle, Ellis allowed himself a small smile. Launch all remaining fighters. Target their flagship. The Earth fighters swarmed toward the Dominion command ship. Most were destroyed by defensive fire, but a few got through, their weapons focusing on the same weak point they had identified earlier. On his command ship, General Vex watched with growing fury as his fleet, undefeated for a century, began to fall apart under the human assault. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving signals from our garrisons and other systems. They're concerned about our situation. Concerned? Vex spat the word. Tell them we face unexpected resistance but will prevail. These Deathworlders cannot defeat the Dominion. But the battle had already turned. The Earth fleet pressed their advantage, using Jupiter's gravity to slingshot their ships at incredible speeds past the Dominion defenses. Their attacks seemed random to Dominion tacticians, but each struck with devastating precision. On the Defiance, Ellis and Trell coordinated the assault. The artifact continued to create gravity distortions that confused Dominion targeting systems. Commander, the tactical officer called out, we have a clear shot at their flagship. Ellis nodded. Position us for a surgical strike. We need to capture General Vex, not kill him. The Defiance maneuvered through the chaos of battle, taking hits but refusing to withdraw. When they emerged from behind a cloud of debris, they were directly facing the Dominion flagship. Target their command center only, Ellis ordered. Disable, don't destroy. The Defiance fired its main weapon, a modified nuclear missile carrying a gravity warhead. It struck the Dominion flagship precisely, creating a localized gravity well that crushed its engines and weapon systems while leaving the command center intact. Vex felt his ship shudder and die around him. Alert sirens blared as systems failed throughout the vessel. General, his tactical officer reported grimly, we've lost propulsion and weapons. Life support is on emergency power. Impossible, Vex whispered, staring at the tactical display, showing his once mighty fleet in disarray. Nearly half his ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest were scattered, fighting individual battles they were increasingly losing. His communications officer looked up in shock. Sir, we're being hailed by the human commander. Vex straightened his uniform. Even in defeat, he would maintain Dominion dignity. Put him through. Ellis's face appeared on the screen. General Vex, your ship is disabled and your fleet is in retreat. Surrender now and we will spare the lives of your remaining forces. Vex's ridged face contorted with rage. You think this is victory, human? I still have one option left. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare the planet killer. Target Earth. The officer hesitated. Sir, deploying the planet killer at this range will destroy us as well. Do it, Vex roared. The Dominion does not accept defeat. As the massive weapon began to charge, Ellis realized what was happening. All ships fall back, they're deploying a superweapon. But before anyone could react, a blinding light erupted from the Dominion flagship. The planet killer was activating, its energy building toward a blast that would crack Earth's crust and render the planet uninhabitable. Ellis looked at Trell. Is there any way to stop it? The alien captain studied the readings, then nodded grimly. One way. But it will cost us the Defiance. Ellis understood immediately. Evacuate all non-essential personnel. Prepare the artifact for maximum output. As escape pods launched from the Defiance, Ellis and a skeleton crew remained behind. They positioned their ship directly between the Dominion flagship and Earth. Artifact at maximum power, Trell reported. It will create a gravity well strong, enough to contain. The sacrifice of the Defiance echoed across space. For a brief moment, the battle paused as both sides witnessed the blinding flash that consumed both the Earth flagship and the Dominion command vessel. Then, from Earth's orbital defense platforms, a simple message transmitted to all remaining human ships. Remember, Ellis, finish this. The remaining Earth fleet rallied under the command of Captain Laura Reyes aboard the cruiser Thunderchild. With their commander gone, the human captains didn't fall into disarray, as the Dominion might have expected. Instead, they fought with even greater determination. The Dominion fleet is regrouping, reported Reyes's tactical officer. They appear confused without General Vex's leadership. Then we press our advantage, Reyes ordered. Execute flanking pattern Delta. The Earth ship split into 3 groups, approaching the Dominion formation from multiple angles. Without Vex's central authority, the Dominion vessels struggled to coordinate their response. Their rigid hierarchy had become their weakness. The largest remaining Dominion warship, Sub-Commander Krell, tried to establish control. Form defensive positions, focus fire on their lead vessels. But the Earth fleet didn't behave as expected. Instead of the largest ships leading the attack, small fighters darted forward, drawing Dominion fire while larger vessels circled behind. The humans were using their smallest ships as decoys, a tactic that seemed wasteful and illogical to the Dominion mind. Why sacrifice their fighters? Krell wondered aloud. It serves no tactical purpose. His question was answered moments later, when the Earth cruisers appeared behind the Dominion formation, targeting engines and weapon systems with precision strikes. 5 more Dominion ships fell in rapid succession. Their tactics defy all logic, Krell's tactical officer complained. They're not following any recognizable battle doctrine. They're fighting like predators, a science officer noted. Like creatures evolved to hunt. Each ship acts independently but toward a common goal. Krell studied the tactical display with growing concern. His forces still outnumbered the humans, but the advantage was shrinking by the minute. And now, something new was happening. Earth's orbital platforms were launching massive missiles toward the battle. Intercept those weapons, Krell ordered. Dominion ships redirected their fire, easily destroying many of the incoming missiles. But they weren't weapons at all. They were transport pods. As the Dominion focused on them, the pods that survived released thousands of small drones, each carrying a miniature version of the gravity weapons developed from Arcani technology. The drones swarmed the Dominion ships like angry insects, attaching to hulls and creating localized gravity distortions that tore through metal and crystal alike. Dominion crews abandoned their posts as their vessels began breaking apart from within. Aboard the Thunderchild, Reyes watched the battle with grim satisfaction. The drone attack is working. Their fleet is down to 17 operational ships. Her, second in command, an Arcani named Linar, who had been aboard the Defiance but transferred before the final confrontation, studied the tactical display. They're falling back, preparing to retreat. Not yet, Reyes said firmly. If even one ship escapes, they'll return with a larger force. She turned to her communications officer. Signal the moon base. Tell them to activate the gravitational trap. Hidden among the floating debris of the partially destroyed moon, a hastily constructed base housed Earth's secret weapon, a larger version of the artifact Trell had brought to Earth, recovered from the wreckage of the Lumina and enhanced with human technology. As the Dominion ships attempted to reach a safe distance for faster-than-light travel, the artifact activated. A massive gravitational field expanded outward, catching the enemy vessels like flies in amber. Their engines strained against the invisible force, but they couldn't break free. What is this? Krell demanded as his ship shuddered to a halt. How are they generating a gravity field this powerful? With the Dominion fleet immobilized, the Earth forces closed in for the final assault. The battle that followed was brief, but devastating. Unable to maneuver or escape, the remaining Dominion ships fought desperately, but were overwhelmed one by one. Krell watched his tactical display as his allies fell. When only his ship remained, he made the decision that no Dominion commander had ever made before. "Open a channel to the human vessels," he ordered. "We surrender." 3 days later, in the rebuilt United Nations Assembly Hall in Geneva, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to hear the outcome of humanity's first interstellar war. Krell, now a prisoner of war, stood on the stage alongside the surviving Arcani leaders. "The Dominion fleet has been defeated," announced the Secretary General. "Thanks to the courage of Commander Ellis and the crews of our United Earth Fleet, our planet is safe." The hall erupted in applause, but quiet returned quickly as she continued. "But we must understand that this victory comes with great responsibility. We have proven ourselves capable of defeating the greatest power in our region of space. The question now is, what kind of galactic citizens will we become?" Linar, now the senior Arcani representative, stepped forward. "My people have witnessed something remarkable here. On a world classified as too dangerous for spacefaring species, we found not just powerful allies, but hope for a new kind of future." He gestured to Krell. "Even our enemy has been forced to reconsider everything they believed about galactic order." The Dominion officer nodded reluctantly. "In all our conquests, we never encountered anything like humans. You fight not just for yourselves, but for others. It is unusual." The Secretary General unveiled a large display showing a map of nearby star systems. "We have received transmissions from other worlds in this sector. The news of the Dominion's defeat has spread rapidly. Many species previously under their control are now reaching out to us," Linar added. "And my people, scattered as refugees across distant colonies, are returning. We wish to rebuild alongside humanity." In the front row, Dr. Lisa Wong, who had helped adapt Arcani technology for Earth's defense, raised her hand. "What about the artifact and others like it? Their power could be dangerous in the wrong hands." The Secretary General nodded. "After consulting with our Arcani allies, we've decided to form a joint research team to study this ancient technology safely, not as a weapon, but as a tool for protection." On a screen above the stage, images appeared showing Earth's orbital platforms being converted into defensive installations. The wreckage of Dominion ships was being salvaged, their technology studied and adapted. "We are no longer alone in the universe," the Secretary General continued, "and we will not hide behind our atmosphere. Earth will serve as a sanctuary for those who seek peace, and a formidable adversary to those who choose war." The assembly rose in a standing ovation. Among them were the families of those lost in the battle, including Ellis's wife and daughter. They had come to honor his sacrifice and witness the beginning of a new era. After the ceremony, Krell approached Linar in a guarded but private moment. "I have studied your Earth allies closely," the Dominion officer said quietly. "They are unlike any species we have encountered." "How so?" Linar asked. "They evolved on a world that should have killed them. Their bodies are fragile compared to ours, yet they survived by developing something more dangerous than physical strength. Their minds," Linar nodded. "Their ability to adapt, to work together despite their differences." "More than that," Krell said. "When we attacked other worlds, they fought to survive. When we attacked Earth, they fought to protect others, the Arcani refugees. It made them more dangerous than we could have imagined." Outside the assembly hall, work crews were already constructing the foundation for a new building, the headquarters of the Earth Arcani Alliance. Its design incorporated elements from both cultures, a symbol of their shared future. In orbit, the first of a new generation of ships prepared for launch. Unlike the hastily converted vessels that had fought the Dominion, these were purpose-built, explorers designed for both defense and discovery. Their mission: to visit the worlds liberated from Dominion control, offering alliance rather than conquest. And on their hulls they carried a new emblem: Earth and the Arcani homeworld joined by stars with the words, "From the Death World, Hope." In the galactic databases, Earth's classification had already been updated, no longer just Death World. Now it read, Protected Sanctuary, approach with caution. The first ship to launch carried Linar and a human diplomatic team. As they accelerated away from Earth, the Arcani captain looked back at the blue planet that had welcomed his people in their darkest hour. They called your world a death world, he said to his human co-captain. But they never understood what that truly meant. The human smiled. It means we know the value of life because we've always had to fight for it. And now we'll fight for others too. As their ship vanished into the darkness between stars, they carried with them the legacy of Commander Ellis and the crew of the Defiance, the knowledge that sometimes the most dangerous world can become the greatest hope for peace in a troubled galaxy. Behind them, Earth continued its orbit around the sun, no longer alone and no longer afraid. The planet once feared, as a death world had found its place among the stars. The space around Nexus 7 was quiet, too quiet. The small green planet hung in the darkness like a jewel, its 3 moons casting soft light onto the lush forests below. On the planet's surface, the Varian colony had been peaceful for over 50 cycles. The tall, plant-like aliens had built their homes among the trees, living in harmony with the local ecosystem. That peace was about to end. Captain Nex stood on the bridge of the Concord ship, Harbinger, his 4 arms working different control panels as his large blue eyes scanned the star charts. The Harbinger was an exploration vessel, one of many that patrolled the outer territories of galactic Concord space. The Concord included 17 different alien species, all united by their love of peace and scientific progress. Captain, we're picking up a signal, said Officer Lem, her thin fingers moving quickly over the communications panel. Her antennae twitched, a sign of concern among her species. It's coming from Nexus 7. It's an SOS. Nex turned away from the star charts, his smooth blue face showing worry. Put it through. The main screen flickered, showing a panicked Varian. Its leaf-like hair trembled as it spoke. This is Colony Leader Trell of Nexus 7. We are under attack. Unknown vessels. They have weapons we've never seen. They call themselves humans. They say they come from a planet called Earth. Help us. The transmission cut off suddenly, replaced by static. Try to get them back, ordered Nex, moving to the captain's chair in the center of the bridge. Lem tried several times before shaking her head. No response, Captain. Nex sat quietly for a moment. The Varians were peaceful plant tenders. They had no enemies. And who were these humans? The name was not known to the Concord database. Set course for Nexus 7, he decided. Maximum speed. And send a message to Concord Command. Tell them we have a possible first contact situation that has turned violent. Yes, Captain, said Navigator Drell, his scaled hands inputting the coordinates. As the Harbinger jumped to faster-than-light travel, Nex called up all available information on the Varian colony. It was small, with only about 10,000 settlers. They had no military, only a small security force to handle minor problems. They would stand no chance against any serious attack. Science Officer Mira, what do we know about this Earth? Nex asked. The slender, white-skinned alien checked her databases. Nothing, Captain. It's not in our star charts. It must be from beyond Concord space. This troubled Nex even more. The Concord had mapped most of the galaxy. For a spacefaring, species to come from an unknown region meant they had developed independently, without the guiding principles of the Concord. How long until we reach Nexus 7? He asked. 4 hours, Captain, replied Drell. Nex nodded. All crew to alert status. Weapon systems online. The Harbinger continued its journey through the darkness of space, its engines glowing blue against the black. Meanwhile, on the main view screen, Nex replayed the distress call, watching the fear in the Varian's eyes. Something about the word the alien had used bothered him. Officer Lem, play back the message. There was a term the Varian used to describe where these humans came from. Lem nodded and replayed the message. They say they come from a planet called Earth. Before that, said Nex, he called it something. Lem adjusted the playback. Unknown vessels. They have weapons we've never seen. They call themselves humans. Between those statements, Nex insisted. Lem played it once more, slowing it down. Now they caught it. They come from a death world. The bridge fell silent. Death world. The term was almost mythical among Concord species. It referred to planets with conditions so harsh that any life evolving there would be incredibly resilient and potentially very dangerous. High gravity, extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheres, deadly predators, natural disasters. These were the hallmarks of a death world. Most Concord species came from gentle worlds with stable climates and few predators. The idea of intelligence evolving in a constant struggle for survival was disturbing. If they really come from a death world, said Science Officer Mira quietly, then we may be facing something very different from anything we've encountered before. Weapons. Status? Asked Nex. Defensive systems at full capacity, reported Tactical Officer Wren. But Captain, our ship is not designed for combat. We're explorers. I know, said Nex, but we can't ignore a distress call, and Concord Command will send reinforcements once they receive our message. 3 hours later, the Harbinger dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Nexus 7. The view that greeted them was shocking. A fleet of 30 vessels surrounded the planet. They were unlike any ships the Concord had ever seen. Where Concord, ships were smooth and elegant, these were blocky and practical. They bristled with what were clearly weapon systems, and their hulls bore scorch marks and dents that had been repaired. Signs of vessels that expected to take damage and were built to endure it. Scan them, ordered Nex. Mira worked her console, then looked up with wide eyes. Captain, their hull material is incredibly dense, and I'm detecting energy readings that suggest power systems far more compact than ours. Life signs? Yes. But... Mira paused. They're different. Higher body temperature, denser bone structure, consistent with life evolved on a high-gravity world. Before Nex could respond, Lem called out, Captain, we're being hailed by the largest vessel. Nex straightened his uniform. Put it through. The screen changed to show the bridge of the other ship, and there, for the first time, Nex saw a human. The creature was strange. It had only 2 arms, pinkish tan skin, and fur on the top of its head. It wore a dark uniform with symbols on the shoulders that probably indicated rank. But what struck Nex most were the eyes, alert, intelligent, and evaluating everything they saw. This is Admiral Thorne of the Human Expeditionary Force, the creature said. Its voice was deep and clear. Identify yourself. Nex stood tall. I'm Captain Nex of the Galactic Concord vessel Harbinger. We received a distress call from the Varian colony on this planet. What is your business here? Admiral Thorne's expression changed slightly. Distress call? We came in peace for first contact. The Varians opened fire on our scout ship without warning or communication. We defended ourselves. Nex glanced at his officers, confused. The Varians were not aggressive. That doesn't match their peaceful nature. Nevertheless, said Thorne, it happened. We've tried to establish communication multiple times since then, but they've refused all contact. Before Nex could respond, Tactical Officer Wren shouted, Captain, multiple ships dropping out of FTL. It's a Concord battle group. The humans must have detected the new arrivals too, because Admiral Thorne's expression hardened. It seems your reinforcements have arrived, Captain. I hope they're more interested in talking than the Varians were. The screen went dark as the human cut the transmission. Open a channel to the battle group, ordered Nex quickly. We need to explain the situation before. He was interrupted by a flash of light as the Concord battle group opened fire on the human fleet without warning. No! Nex shouted, but it was too late. The humans' ships, their weapon systems already charged, returned fire immediately. The battle for Nexus 7 had begun. Admiral Thorne stood on the bridge of the HSS Thunderchild, his face grim as he watched the battle unfold on the main view screen. The human fleet had formed a defensive sphere, their ships moving with practiced precision, shields holding at 80%, reported his weapons officer, a stocky woman named Reed. Thorne nodded. Keep our responses measured. Target their weapon systems only. Commander Pike, Thorne's second-in-command, stood beside him. Pike was tall and thin, with dark skin and serious eyes. "Sir, this isn't what we came here for." "I know," said Thorne, "but we need to defend ourselves until we can sort this out." The human fleet had been sent on a peaceful mission. After years of searching the stars, they had finally found signs of intelligent alien life. The scout ship that first spotted the Varian colony had sent back images of beautiful cities built among giant trees. Everyone on Earth had been excited about making first contact. Now, 12 hours later, they were in a battle with not one but two alien forces. "Admiral," called Communications Officer Davis, "that first ship, the Harbinger, is hailing us again." "Put it through," Thorne ordered, straightening his uniform jacket. Captain Nex's blue face appeared on screen. "Admiral Thorne, please cease fire. There has been a misunderstanding." "Tell that to your battle group," Thorne replied. "They fired first." "I'm trying," said Nex, looking stressed. "But Grand Admiral Voss is not responding to my calls. Please, we need to stop this conflict before it gets worse." Thorne considered his options. The Concord battle group had 12 large warships, while the human fleet had 30 smaller vessels. The fight was even for now, but reinforcements could arrive for either side. "What do you propose?" he asked. "A temporary ceasefire," said Nex. "Let me speak with Admiral Voss in person. Meanwhile, perhaps you could send a representative to the Varian colony to learn why they attacked your scout ship. It makes no sense, they are peaceful by nature." Thorne looked at Pike, who nodded in agreement. "Very well," said Thorne. "I'll order our ships to cease fire if your battle group does the same, and I'll send a team to the surface." After the call ended, Thorne turned to his intelligence officer. "Jax, I want you to lead the surface team. Take 4 security officers with you. Find out what happened with that scout ship." Jax was shorter than most humans, but his quick mind made him valuable. "Yes, Admiral. We'll get to the bottom of this." Within an hour, the firing had stopped. An uneasy truce settled over the space around Nexus 7, as both fleets maintained their positions, weapons ready, but not firing. Jax and his team took a small shuttle down to the Varian colony. From above, they could see that the main settlement was built around a massive central tree. The buildings were made of a light material that blended with the natural environment. "Remember," Jax told his team as they approached, "we're here to talk, not fight. Set weapons to stun and only use them if absolutely necessary." They landed in a clearing near the edge of the settlement. As the shuttle door opened, they were met by a group of Varians. The aliens were tall and slender, with green skin and leaf-like structures on their heads. They carried simple weapons, nothing that could seriously harm humans in protective gear. "We come in peace," said Jax, raising his empty hands. "We want to understand what happened." The Varians looked at each other nervously. Finally, one stepped forward. "I am Trell, colony leader. Why have you returned? To finish what you started?" Jax shook his head. "We never started anything. Our scout ship came in peace, but it was attacked. We want to know why." Trell's leaf-like hair trembled. "Lies. We received the warning about you. We know you come from a death world. We know you plan to conquer us." "Warning?" Jax asked, confused. "From whom?" "From our friends in the Concord," said Trell. "They showed us images of your wars, your weapons. They told us you destroy everything you touch." This was new information. Jax thought carefully before speaking again. "May I see this warning? These images?" Trell hesitated, then nodded. "Come. But your soldiers stay here." Jax agreed, following the Varian leader into the settlement while his team waited with the shuttle. Inside the main building, Trell showed him a communication device. On it were images of human history, but only the worst parts. Nuclear tests, world wars, environmental disasters. "These are real," said Jax slowly. "But they're only part of our story. They don't show how we learned from our mistakes, how we made peace among ourselves, how we healed our planet." "And why should we believe you?" asked Trell. Because we could have destroyed your colony from orbit if we wanted to, Jax replied simply. We didn't. Even after you attacked our scout ship, we tried to talk. Trell seemed unsure. If what you say is true, then why did our friends warn us about you? That's what I'd like to know, said Jax. Who exactly sent you these images? Meanwhile, in space, Captain Nex had managed to dock his ship with the Concord flagship, Judgment. He now stood before Grand Admiral Voss, trying to explain the situation. Voss was from an older Concord species. His gray skin was wrinkled, and 4 small eyes blinked independently as he listened. So you're saying we should trust these humans? Voss asked, his voice deep and rumbling. When they've already destroyed half the Varian colony? That's just it, Admiral, said Nex. I don't believe they did destroy it. The Varians claim they were attacked, but the humans say the Varians fired first. Something doesn't add up. What doesn't add up, said a new voice, is why we're talking to Deathworlders at all. Nex turned to see Council Member Drac enter the room. Drac was a high-ranking political figure, not a military leader. His presence on a battleship was unusual. Council Member, Nex said with surprise. I didn't know you were here. I came as soon as we received word of the human fleet, said Drac. Their kind cannot be trusted. They evolved in violence and chaos. It's in their nature to destroy. Nex frowned. With respect, how do you know so much about them if we've never encountered them before? Drac's expression changed briefly. So briefly that Nex almost missed it. Was it alarm? Guilt? I've studied many potential threats to the Conquered, Drac said smoothly. Now, Admiral Voss, I suggest we end this ceasefire and deal with the human problem once and for all. Back on the surface of Nexus 7, Jax had convinced Trell to show him who had sent the warning about humans. The Varian brought up the communication logs on their system. Here, said Trell. These came from a Conquered ship 3 days ago. Jax looked at the information. The sender's identification was encrypted, but there was a symbol visible in the corner of each message, a star with a line through it. Do you know what this symbol means? He asked Trell. The Varian shook his head. No, but the messages came on official Conquered channels. Jax took out his communicator. Admiral Thorne, this is Jax. I found something important. The Varians were warned about us before we arrived. Someone sent them images of human warfare and told them we were coming to conquer them. Who? Asked Thorne's voice through the communicator. The messages are encrypted, but they have a symbol, a star with a line through it. And they came on official Conquered channels. There was silence for a moment. Then Thorne said, Get back to the ship, Jax. I need to talk to Captain Nex. I think we're all being played. As Jax hurried back to his shuttle, he didn't notice the small device attached to its hull. A listening device that had captured every word of his conversation with Thorne. In a hidden room aboard the Conquered flagship, a figure heard the transmission and quickly pressed a button. It was time for Plan B. Suddenly, without warning, one of the human ships exploded. We're under attack, shouted Commander Pike as the bridge of the Thunderchild shook. The explosion of the human ship HSS Dauntless had broken the uneasy peace. Now both fleets were firing again, space around Nexus 7 lighting up with energy weapons and missiles. Admiral Thorne grabbed the edge of a console to steady himself. All ships, defensive formation Delta. Return fire but target weapon systems only. The human ships moved quickly, forming a new pattern that allowed them to protect each other better. Their response was immediate and disciplined. Surprising. The Conquered commanders who had expected panic. On the Conquered flagship, Grand Admiral Voss watched the battle with growing concern. Their coordination is impressive, he admitted to Captain Nex, who stood beside him. Admiral, said Nex urgently, we need to stop this. I don't believe the humans destroyed their own ship. Someone wants this war to happen. Voss frowned. Even if you're right, I cannot order a ceasefire while we're under attack. The humans are responding with unexpected strength. That was an understatement. The Conquered had the advantage of more advanced technology, but the humans fought with a creativity and adaptability that was shocking. Where Conquered ships followed standard battle procedures, the humans constantly changed tactics, making them hard to predict. Sir, reported a Conquered tactical officer, Our gravitic weapons are having minimal effect on their vessels. They should be crushed, but they're holding together. Science Director Mira, who had joined Voss and Nex on the flagship, studied the sensor readings. Fascinating. Their ships are designed with reinforced internal structures, and their bodies, they're naturally resistant to high G-forces due to their home world's gravity. How high is their world's gravity? Asked Voss. Based on their physiology, said Mira, I estimate 1.3 times our standard. They evolved carrying more weight every day of their lives. This information troubled Voss. Most conquered species came from worlds with gentle conditions. The idea of life evolving under constant pressure was alien to them, literally. Meanwhile, aboard the Thunderchild, Jax had returned from the surface and was reporting to Admiral Thorne while the battle raged around them. Admiral, I'm certain someone in the Concord is trying to start a war between us, said Jax. The Varians were manipulated. They were shown only our worst moments. Wars, weapons tests, disasters. Thorne nodded grimly. And now one of our ships has been destroyed. It wasn't hit by Concord weapons. It exploded from the inside. Sabotage, said Pike. Exactly, agreed Thorne. We need to contact Captain Nex. He seemed reasonable. Communications are being jammed, said Officer Davis. I can't get through to any Concord ship. Thorne thought for a moment. Then we'll have to show them we're serious about peace, by winning this battle without destroying them. He turned to the tactical display. All ships, new orders. Disable the Concord flagship's weapons and engines. Use precision strikes only, and I want a team ready to board once we've created an opening. The human fleet changed tactics again. Instead of spreading their fire across the Concord ships, they focused on the massive flagship. The Concord vessels tried to protect their admiral, but the humans were relentless. On the Concord flagship, alarms blared as systems failed. We've lost weapons on the port side, reported a tactical officer. Engines at 60% and falling. Voss looked concerned. They're targeting us specifically. Why not destroy us? Because they don't want to destroy anyone, insisted Nex. They want to talk. Suddenly, a new alarm sounded. Admiral, called a security officer. We have intruders. Human boarding parties have breached Deck 7. Voss was shocked. How? Our shields should prevent transporters from working. They didn't use transporters, said the officer, checking the security feeds. They flew small craft directly into our shuttle bay during a momentary shield fluctuation. I've never seen piloting like that. Council member Drac, who had been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. This is exactly what I warned about. These Deathworlders are too dangerous. We must destroy them at any cost. He reached for the command console, but Nex moved faster, grabbing his arm. No, there's something wrong here. Why are you so eager for war? Remove your hands, said Drac coldly, or I'll have you arrested for treason. Before Nex could respond, the bridge doors slid open. A team of 6 humans entered, wearing armored suits and carrying weapons. Leading them was a tall woman with short black hair and determined eyes. Nobody move, she said firmly. I'm Commander West of the Human Expeditionary Force. We're here to speak with Grand Admiral Voss. The Concord security officers raised their weapons, but Voss held up a hand. Stand down. Let's hear what they have to say. West nodded to Voss, then pointed at Drac. Is this council member Drac? Voss looked surprised. Yes. How do you know of him? Because we found his name in the coded transmissions sent to the Varians, said West. He's the one who warned them about us. He's been working to start this war from the beginning. All eyes turned to Drac, who backed away. These are lies. They're trying to divide us. Then explain this, said West, holding up a small device. We found this transmitter on our officer's shuttle. It matches Concord technology, but it's not standard issue. It has a marking on it, a star with a line through it. Nex moved closer to look at the symbol. I've seen this before, he said slowly. It's the emblem of a group called the Purists. They believe the Concord should remain pure. No new species should be allowed to join, especially powerful ones. Drac's expression changed. His face hardened as he realized he was exposed. You understand nothing. We've kept the conquered peaceful for millennia by carefully controlling which species join. These humans, he pointed at West. They come from a death world. Their entire evolution is based on violence and survival against terrible odds. What happens when they bring that mentality into our peaceful society? You don't know us, said West calmly. Yes, our world shaped us to be strong and adaptable, but it also taught us to value cooperation and peace. The harshest environments don't produce monsters. They produce beings who understand the value of working together. As if to prove her point, a message came through to both the humans and the conquered ships. The jamming had stopped. This is Admiral Thorne to all vessels. Cease fire immediately. We have evidence that this conflict was engineered by a faction within the Concord called the Purists. We did not come to fight. We came to meet new civilizations and expand our understanding of the universe. The firing gradually stopped. In the sudden quiet of space, Voss looked at the humans on his bridge with new eyes. They could have killed him and his crew. Instead, they had disabled his ship with surgical precision and come to talk. Perhaps, he said slowly, we should listen to what these humans have to say. Drac lunged suddenly toward a control panel, but one of the human soldiers moved with shocking speed, crossing the room in a blur and restraining him before he could reach it. Your reflexes, said Mira in amazement. How did you move so fast? The human soldier shrugged. I grew up on a farm in high northern latitudes. When winter comes and predators are hungry, you learn to react quickly or die. Voss and Nex exchanged glances. This was what made Deathworlders so different, and potentially so valuable as allies. They had evolved under pressures the conquered species had never faced. I believe, said Voss formally, that it is time for proper introductions. I am Grand, Admiral Voss of the Galactic Concord. On behalf of our 17-member species, I welcome you cautiously to our part of the galaxy. Commander West smiled. And we cautiously accept. Now, shall we discuss what to do about the Purists who tried to start a war between us? The first step toward understanding had been taken, but the Purists would not give up so easily. 2 days after the battle, representatives from both sides met on the Nexus 7 space station. The station orbited the green planet, providing neutral ground for humans and the conquered to talk. Admiral Thorne and Grand Admiral Voss sat across from each other at a large round table. Captain Nex, Commander West, and Science Director Mira were also present. Council Member Drac has been taken into custody, reported Voss. But he refuses to name his fellow Purists. Thorne nodded. We need to find them all. If they were willing to start a war between us, they'll try again. Agreed, said Voss. But the Purists are secretive. They could be anywhere in the Concord, in our government, our military, even among the Varians. Commander West leaned forward. Then we need to go to the source, the Varian colony. That's where this started. Captain Nex looked concerned. The colony is still rebuilding after the battle. Many Varians don't trust either of us now. All the more reason to help them, said Thorne. And while we do, we can look for clues about the Purists' operation there. The meeting ended with a plan. A joint team of humans and conquered members would go to the Varian colony. They would help rebuild and also investigate the Purists' activities. Lieutenant Gray was chosen to lead the human part of the team. He was young for his rank but had proven himself smart and adaptable. 5 other humans joined him, including a medic named Dr. Bell. The Conquered team was led by Officer Lem from the Harbinger. 4 other Conquered members with different skills completed the group. As they prepared to leave for the surface, Gray spoke quietly with Admiral Thorne. Sir, do you trust them? He asked, nodding toward the Concord team. Thorne considered the question. Trust is earned, Lieutenant. Work with them, but keep your eyes open. And remember, we're not just looking for Purists. We're showing them who humans really are. Gray nodded and joined his team on the shuttle. The joint group landed near the main Varian settlement an hour later. The damage from the brief battle was visible. Several buildings were burned or collapsed, and the Varians moved about with caution and fear. Colony leader Trell met them at the landing area. His leaf-like hair drooped, showing his stress and sadness. You return again, he said wearily. What do you want now? Officer Lem stepped forward. We come to help, Leader Trell, and to find those who deceived you about the humans. Help? Trell looked doubtful. How can you help after bringing war to our peaceful colony? Dr. Bell moved forward, carrying her medical kit. I can start by treating your injured. I'm a doctor. Trell seemed surprised. You would help those who attacked you? You were misled, said Bell simply. That's not your fault. While Bell set up a medical station, Gray organized the rest of the team. Let's split up. Humans and Concord members working together in pairs. We'll help rebuild and look for information about the Purists at the same time. Gray partnered with Officer Lem. They began helping repair a collapsed building while talking with the Varians working alongside them. When did you first hear warnings about humans? Gray asked one Varian. About 10 days ago, the Varian replied. A special envoy came from the Concord. They showed us terrible images. An envoy? Said Lem, looking at Gray. That wasn't in any official record. Do you remember the envoy's name? Asked Gray. The Varian thought for a moment. Pax. Yes, that was it. Council Envoy Pax. Lem shook her head. There is no council envoy with that name. Gray and Lem shared a look. This was their first real lead. As the day continued, the teams made progress both in rebuilding and in gathering information. The Varians began to relax around them, especially as they saw humans and Concord members working together. Dr. Bell treated dozens of injured Varians, working tirelessly. Her gentle care impressed the plant-like aliens who had been told humans were violent and cruel. You are not what we expected, one elderly Varian told her as she treated his burned arm. Bell smiled. We're not what the Purists wanted you to think we are. By evening, Gray called the team together in a building they were using as headquarters. They shared what they had learned. This Pax visited multiple times, reported Gray. Always with new warnings about humans, and always meeting with certain Variants in private. One name kept coming up, added another team member. A Varian called Maul. He worked closely with Pax. Where is this Maul now? Asked Lem. Nobody knows, said Gray. He disappeared right after the battle started. They decided to search Maul's home. As night fell over the colony, the team moved quietly through the settlement. Maul's house was at the edge, partially hidden by large purple plants. Inside they found what they were looking for. A hidden room contained communication equipment. More advanced than anything else in the colony. And on the wall was the Purist symbol, a star with a line through it. He was their agent here, said Gray, examining the equipment. Probably recruited years ago. Lem discovered a locked data storage unit. We need to get into this. It might have names of other Purists. As they worked to unlock it, a warning alarm suddenly blared from their shuttle. Perimeter alert, said Gray, checking his communicator. Something's approaching the colony fast. They rushed outside and looked up. Through the night sky, they could see ships descending. Concord ships, but with modified weapon systems. Those are Purist vessels, said Lem, her antennae trembling. But how did they get Concord military ships? Gray's communicator beeped. Admiral Thorne's voice came through urgent. Lieutenant, we've detected rogue Concord vessels heading your way. The Purists have made their move. They've taken control of an entire battle group. Get your team to safety. But it was too late. The Purist ships were already landing around the colony, surrounding them. Troops in Concord uniforms, but wearing the Purist symbol, poured out, weapons ready. Gray quickly assessed their situation. They were outnumbered at least 10 to 1. Fighting would only endanger the Varians further. Hold your fire, he ordered his team. Let's see what they want. A tall figure walked forward from the Purist forces. It was Pax, the fake envoy. He looked at the joint human Concord team with disgust. So, he said coldly, the Deathworlders have already corrupted some of our people. This proves everything we've warned about. You're the ones who tried to start a war, said Gray. Why? Pax smiled without warmth. To protect the conquered, of course. Your kind would destroy everything we've built over thousands of years. You're too strong, too adaptable, too unpredictable. So you decided to attack us before we could join the Concord, said Lem. Exactly, said Pax, and we'll succeed where Drac failed. By the time your fleets realize what's happening, we'll have eliminated all evidence of our involvement. The humans will be blamed for the destruction of this colony, and the Concord will unite against them. Gray looked around. The purists had them completely surrounded. But he noticed something Pax had missed. Dr. Bell was not with them. She had stayed at the medical center with her patients. You won't get away with this, said Gray calmly, trying to buy time. Your plan has already failed once. This time will be different, said Pax. No survivors, no witnesses. As Pax raised his hand to give the order to fire, Gray activated his emergency beacon, a signal that would alert both the human and Concord fleets. But would help arrive in time? Lieutenant Gray and his team stood surrounded by purist forces. Pax, the fake Concord envoy, had given his troops the order to aim their weapons. Death seemed certain. Any last words, human? Asked Pax with a cold smile. Gray stood tall. Just one question. Have you ever wondered why Deathworlders like us survived on our harsh planet? Pax frowned. What does that matter now? Because, Gray said calmly, we learn to notice things others miss. Like how the ground feels just before an earthquake, or how animals act before a storm. Pax looked confused, but Officer Lem suddenly understood. Her antennae twitched as she sensed vibrations in the air. Everyone down, she shouted. The sky above them lit up as ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The human fleet had arrived, led by the Thunder Child. At the same time, from the other direction came Concord vessels, with the Judgment at their head. The emergency beacon had worked. Pax looked up in shock. Open fire! Kill them all now! But before the purists could shoot, the ground beneath them trembled. From the forest around the colony, Varians emerged, hundreds of them, armed with simple weapons. They were led by Dr. Bell and colony leader Trell. The Varians have chosen their side, called Dr. Bell to Gray. The purists found themselves caught in a trap of their own making. Above, the combined human and Concord fleets engaged the rogue purist ships. On the ground, the joint team and Varians fought against the purist soldiers. Gray grabbed a fallen weapon and took cover. Remember, we want prisoners. We need to know how deep this conspiracy goes. The battle was chaotic but brief. The purists had expected an easy massacre, not a coordinated resistance. Many surrendered when they saw they were outmatched. Pax tried to escape in the confusion, but Gray spotted him running toward a small shuttle, using the quick reflexes that his Deathworld evolution had given him. Gray sprinted after Pax, overtaking him just before he reached the shuttle door. You won't win, Pax spat, as Gray restrained him. The Concord will never accept creatures like you. That's not your decision to make, said Gray. Within an hour, the battle was over. The purist forces were defeated both in space and on the ground. Admiral Thorne's ship landed near the colony, and he emerged to meet with Lieutenant Gray and the others. Report, Lieutenant, said Thorne. Gray stood straight. The purist leader Pax is in custody, sir. We've captured over 50 of his followers and secured their equipment. Most importantly, we found their data storage unit with what appears to be a complete list of purist members throughout the Concord. Thorne nodded with approval. Well done. And casualties? 3 wounded on our side, all minor injuries. Dr. Bell is treating them now. And the Varians? They fought alongside us, sir. They know the truth now. Thorne looked around at the Varian colony where humans and Concord members were helping the plant-like aliens repair damage from the fight. Good. It seems we've made some friends after all. Hours later, a formal meeting was held on the space station orbiting Nexus 7. Admiral Thorne and Grand Admiral Voss sat together, no longer on opposite sides of the table, but next to each other. Captain Nex, Commander West, and other key figures from both sides joined them. Colony leader Trell represented the Varians, his leaf-like hair now standing proudly again. The purest threat has been contained, announced Admiral Voss. Using the data recovered from Nexus 7, we've arrested over 200 purist members throughout conquered space. Their leader, Pax, has confessed to orchestrating the entire conflict. The question now, said Admiral Thorne, is what happens next between our peoples. There was a moment of silence around the table. Then Captain Nex spoke up. I believe we have seen the best and worst of both our societies through this crisis. The purists showed how fear can lead to hatred. But the humans showed us something else. That strength doesn't have to mean violence. Science Director Mira nodded in agreement. The humans come from what we would call a death world. Their bodies are stronger, their reflexes faster, their thinking more adaptable than most conquered species. But they use those abilities to minimize casualties, not maximize them. And they helped us rebuild, added Trell. They treated our wounded. They fought alongside us against the purists. Admiral Voss looked thoughtful. For 3,000 years, the conquered has avoided contact with Death World species. We feared what they might bring to our peaceful cooperation. Perhaps that was a mistake. We all evolved to match our environments, said Admiral Thorne. Humans faced harsh conditions, so we became tough. But we also learned that cooperation is essential for survival. No one survives alone on Earth. Perhaps, suggested Commander West, that is precisely what the Concord needs. New perspectives, new strengths. Voss and Thorne looked at each other. After a moment, both nodded. I will propose to the Concord Council, said Voss formally, that humanity be invited to join the Galactic Concord as its 18th member species. The room erupted in applause and chatter. Even those who had been most cautious about humans seemed pleased by the decision. As the meeting concluded, Lieutenant Gray found himself standing next to Officer Lem. What do you think? He asked her. Will it work, humans and the Concord together? Lem's antennae twitched in what Gray had learned was a sign of amusement. It will be challenging. Your people move quickly, think differently. You will change the Concord. Is that bad? Change can be good, she said. Without change, there is no growth. 1 week later, a ceremony was held in orbit around Nexus 7. The human fleet and Concord vessels flew in formation, no longer as potential enemies but as allies. On the main deck of the Thunderchild, Admiral Thorne and Grand Admiral Voss signed the first agreement between humanity and the Galactic Concord. It was not yet full membership. That would take time and approval from all existing members, but it was a start. Today marks a new chapter for both our peoples, said Voss to the assembled crowd of humans, Concord members, and Varians. We have learned that differences need not divide us. They can make us stronger together. Admiral Thorne stepped forward. Humans have a saying, the stars are better reached together than alone. We look forward to exploring the galaxy with our new friends. As the ceremony ended, the combined fleet performed a spectacular flyby over Nexus 7. The Varians watched from the surface, no longer afraid but filled with hope. In the vastness of space, the distress signal that had started it all was now just a memory. The SOS that had once meant danger now represented something new, the beginning of an alliance that would change the galaxy forever. The Deathworlders had come, not to conquer, but to join, and the conquered would never be the same.